it's like equivalent. Yeah, it's like no one else is gonna move it. It's gonna go.
I just don't like the fact that it's always
It's all the signs.
It just always house. It reminds me
Oh, yeah.
Stores, they were all pressing and did all the stuff like that. That's what it reminds me of.
Yep. Well, and that's why I think it's,
Which one on Main Street? The old video store, the other one further south?
And after we appointed town manager, we would do
Okay.
well, that's why I want to regulate them kind of like, we have the. Well, that's what I think we could write in. Same way. If we put
Schools here, we got churches now, a church right next to us now.
Right. Yeah.
They'll have to be like on the bluff over outside of town.
The person we gotta worry about with the gaming machines is Clarence. Does he have any yet? He's got that whole side spot though, right, where the cafe is. He should have something.
I think the only ones are the Holtzman ones, I think.
But you know, it's not even Holtzman, it's the people that are leasing it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, yeah. Holtzman's just a realtor.
Yeah, you don't care.
Yeah.
Who we miss?
Carl.
He's very worried about
Carl. Why?
He asked where the employees gonna be vaccinated or no COVID tested before because he said that they're not, because it doesn't require them to do that.
Yeah.
And he said that doesn't include the citizens and the people.
My wife and my daughter had it last week. I tested negative 5 days in a row.
It works.
It's a slight delay on it.
Okay. Trying to get our video to go. Sure it's a slight delay or no delay?
Yeah, it's probably like a 15 or 20-second delay.
Uh-oh.
Wait for it. See, there it is.
You ready? Okay. I call this meeting of Timberville Town Council order, January 12, 2023. Join me in place, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Welcome, Sarah. Welcome, Isaac. You ready for all this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, as we do, well, we're not going to jump to minutes yet. We have all kinds of items on the agenda. The first one is we need to reappoint a town manager. And we do this every election now? We hadn't done it, did we have done it, always done it every election? Okay. So we need a motion to reappoint AC as our town manager.
I'll make the motion to reappoint AC.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? Then we'll go around. Isaac?
Yes.
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 Okay. And at this time, our what is it called? Our charter says you may appoint a vice mayor if you so choose, or elect, is it appoint or elect? Elect
Yeah,
a
the
vice
council elects
mayor.
from their membership.
So I think Carl was our vice mayor last 2 years. Is there any recommendation for a vice mayor this 2 years?
I recommend this guy right there, Clarence
Okay.
Fox. Sorry, I put your name old, can't help it.
Okay, so you're making a motion of Clarence
I
as
am
vice
making a
mayor.
motion for Clarence.
Do I have a second on
I'll
that?
second.
Okay, I have a second. Any further discussion? Are you willing to take it, Clarence? Might I ask that too? Go around. Isaac?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I guess.
I guess he can vote for himself.
He can vote for himself.
Okay. Okay. Now we get down to the regular. Everyone got a copy of the minutes? It came in your packet. I hope everyone's had a chance to review them. Now's the time if you have any changes, amendments, corrections, any kind of thing like that. Now's the time to ask or point out. If there's nothing to change or add, I'll need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Okay, go around the room.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's good. Everyone has a copy of the treasurer's report. One good news is we got notice today that the money market interest rate's going up to 3.21%.
3.21%.
So, I mean, that's an extra 10 grand a year for the balance we carry, so that's always a good thing. So any questions for Melinda on the balances at all? Okay. Bills for payment. Everybody has a copy of their bills. The one good thing coming out of the bills is we're down to the very last few dollars for the police remodel. So you'll see, I think we'll see a couple more boards and a few more chairs, and that one we'll stop seeing that because it will be complete. Any questions on the bills? If not, I need a motion.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, any further discussion? Around the room again.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Bills for payment. Chief is out today. Everyone got his note, why he wouldn't be here today. As I mentioned earlier, as far as the police report, if anyone wants to see the building after the meeting, let me know. I can take you down there and show you what's going on. Melinda and I were looking at if you remember, we had 56.5 budgeted to do the remodel, plus 25,000 cushion in the added ARPA funds because we didn't know where we'd end up landing. Right now, it looks like because we've done a lot of the work ourselves and Strickler helped with the flooring, we're going to be a little bit under 50,000 when it's done. If you remember, when we bid it to a contractor, one was 100,000, one was 200,000. Our guys were able to do it for 50 grand. So we'll have about 6,500 or so left over. Won't be left over for long because AC during this is realizing that our phone systems are antiquated, I guess is a good term.
Becoming obsolete.
Obsolete,
Yeah.
so it's even worse. And they're gonna be updated, so more than likely, we'll probably be using that $6,500 towards getting our phone system to the modern era, I guess.
We received an email the other day that our phones, they can't get parts for them anymore because they are antiquated, but that's making them obsolete. So yeah, we're gonna have to look at that. And everything nowadays seems to be going VoIP, voice over internet protocol phones. Mm-hmm. So we have to look at getting the stability of our internet connection here at the office isn't good enough right now. So we're talking to our technology provider and seeing what kind of fiber that we have options to go with. We know Glow Fiber is coming into the area. Comcast already has fiber in the area, and so we're going to get some pricing on that, and it'll probably be something that we'll put into the budget and see kind of where goes. We'll have to have a budget meeting pretty soon, our first budget meeting, and it might be something we can discuss at that point. See how dire the need is. Our tech company said that, you know, if the phones break, then they can't guarantee, and they've had trouble finding parts already, they can't guarantee that they would find anything. So it's either replace the phones or just don't have phones at the town office or police departments. That's probably not.
That was Melinda's vote. Okay. So we have a few dollars left over we have a few dollars left over for that.
Right.
Ready for Public Works?
Sure.
You've got a couple items you just want to take the PPEA design build order consideration.
So Quentin can probably help me explain this, can probably explain better than me. I put a brief explanation in the memo I sent out. It says, anybody really have any, basically it allows firms to submit proposals to the town, and they can either be, we can either request them or they can be solicited or unsolicited proposals. So if there's discussion that comes up, say there's a discussion that comes up in a council meeting, or somebody's talking to a council member and the council member says, we'd like to have, this would be kind of a neat addition to the town. Well, a firm could come in and submit a proposal to the town without being, without it being solicited. And the council could actually consider it at that point if the PPA is adopted. And it also kind of goes along, it's also looked at as design and build, and I think, does anybody have any questions on why that's a good thing? From my memo, it's kind of protects everybody. I know some other localities have gone through some things that they were dealing with the contractor plus then a third party who was an architect, and things were a little bit hard to iron out, and the blame or responsibility got shuffled around and people point fingers everywhere else. So it helps the contractor on their end because they know exactly what they're designing to build, and it helps the town because the responsibility is off of us.
When I was in the construction part of the business, design build was always the more affordable way to go because you could tweak it, change it as needs happen instead of, you'd have far less adds to the project on the design build than you do on a spec type job. So I think it's a good thing. It's just another tool we have.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So we have
So in addition to the ordinance, there's a 15-page packet of guidelines that we'll adopt that are, follow the process that we have to go through. So it's a good thing for us to be able to do. And we adopted a piece of this a little while ago with the piggybacking so that we can do it. And so this enables us, as long as we follow the PPA, the Public Procurement Act, or this act for any of our projects, it gives other localities the ability to piggyback on some of our projects as well. So it helps our neighbors in addition.
Is this similar to what we did before with the whole bathroom situation?
So this would be the ability, so in the bathroom situation, we could go to someone and they could do the design and the build all at the same time without having to get a design approved, and then who can build this design? It's all under one. And if somebody were to come forward and say, hey, we have a really good design for those kind of bathrooms and we didn't know about it, they could present it to us because we could adopt this act.
Our bathrooms just happen, since they're modular type, they're already designed. So
Yeah,
you have to have the engineer, but,
Right.
and we're using that one as piggybacking off other people that we decided the bathroom one.
That's why I said this, to me, sounded similar.
It's all the same thing.
It's very close. So what are we needing?
Yeah, so there's a resolution that you have in front of you, which is adopting section 1-13.1 for the PPEA guidelines. Which states, pursuant to the requirements of the Code of Virginia, section 56-575.1 et sec, the Public-Private Education Facilities and Infrastructure Act of 2002, procedures for the consideration and approval of projects for public use involving the creation of public-private partnerships shall be adopted by the town council on January 12, 2023, and set out in a document entitled The Guidelines for Submission and Consideration of Proposals of the Public-Private Education Facilities and Infrastructure Act. A copy of said procedures shall be maintained on file for public view and copying in the town office and also on the town of Timberville website. And it'll go up on the website under our publications section. So, we just need a motion to approve and adopt the ordinance.
I make a move to approve and adopt the ordinance. Then we say section 1-3.
You can say section 1-13.1, or you can say as presented.
As presented. I make a move to adopt, approve and adopt this as presented.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
We have a couple of these ordinances tonight, so Melinda will pass them around, or we can do it all at the same time, maybe. Let's all do it at the same time, yeah.
Just don't run out until we have them signed.
Yeah, make sure you sign them all with Melinda.
A few other things under Public Works here. Everybody, all the council members should have at their place a packet of information that you need to fill out. This is something we're supposed to do. According to the Code of Virginia, 5 of you all will have a financial disclosure statement that you need to fill out. And then 2, Don and Sarah, have a much longer packet to fill out because they're members of the Economic Development Authority. And we'll be getting those out to the other members of the EDA and getting that meeting scheduled soon. So if y'all can get that stuff filled out, if you have questions, Melinda and I can try to help you answer anything about that. It's a lot in there. Don started going through his before the meeting.
Clarify immediate family.
So, yeah, I'm not sure if immediate family is in the regular disclosure. If it is, a member of the immediate family is anyone who resides in the house with you. So, like, Don, his question was, do I include my children or not? And he doesn't because his children don't reside in the house with him. So, even though when you think of the term immediate family, that would be the kind of general definition of it. But for this, the Code of Virginia explicitly states that it is anyone who resides in the home would be a member of the immediate family. So like I say, we can help you all as much as need to, because it is sometimes those forms get a little confusing and there can be a lot to them.
5 pages worth of.
VDOT was out earlier this week and was doing an assessment of the roadway out here, looking at the sidewalk project that is slated to be built. That's going to be a sidewalk that goes from the intersection down to 4th Avenue, basically to where the community center is. And then it also includes a crosswalk up here. So they're getting that. It's just a long process. So they're going to come back to us once they have something on paper, but they were actually physically on site looking at that to start getting that design put on paper. So the town's been committed to our portion of it. It's a revenue sharing project, and the town council committed to that several years ago. And so,
over 2 years.
yeah. So we're just waiting for them to come back and get that project started. The maintenance crew is going to start on the canoe kayak launch pretty soon, weather permitting and temperatures permitting, because there is concrete pouring involved. So the guys, since the police department has been finished up, Chris said that they are going to be moving on to that project next. So it'll be a nice addition for the springtime when the fishermen and the boaters can get back out. We need, Cecilia and I will be arranging a community meeting for the Rails to Trails project sometime in February. So if you all can look at your calendars, we want to do it on a Saturday. We think it's easier, especially with the shorter days and gets dark early. It's easier to get people to come out on a Saturday than it is to come out in the cold weather after dark during the week. So if y'all can look at that, and we'll get something coordinated with the community center probably to have a big room to hold it in. And it's gonna be a community meeting. Representatives from Rails to Trails will come in and do a presentation, I believe, and answer questions on that project. And the final thing I have on my list here, I sent out in an email about doing a tour of the town. I was thinking that the town office is closed on Monday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I know the schools are closed. Would you all be available on Monday? Because I would be more than happy to come in on Monday and take everybody around on a tour of the town. For the tour, yeah. It just seems like that's afternoon? Okay. Is that good with everybody? Okay. Well, we'll do that. We'll just put that on the, what time afternoon?
My son's getting his braces off that morning, at like 10, so however long, so like lunchtime on, I think I should be good.
Okay. Let's meet here at the town office at 2 o'clock, and we'll just leave from there. I have a rental vehicle right now, so we can all fit in that comfortably. And make sure that Isaac, Sarah, I know Debbie wanted to go, and then Don, anybody else, I mean, you might know where all the facilities are. Clarence, did we go around before or not? I can't remember. Oh, okay. So, and that is all that I have for the public works report. Any questions on that? Anything on the public works side of things?
Then we'll do the business industry. We have several things. I guess we'll pass this on to Quentin. You've got the resolution for
Big yard sales, yeah.
Yard sales, yes.
So at the last meeting, we discussed, changing the yard sale ordinance to remove the permits. So AC and I were looking about deleting, at first I was gonna delete the whole thing, but we still wanna have the limitation on, you only have 10 yard sales per year. So what you see in front of you, basically, A is unchanged. Section B will become no resident shall have more than 10 yard sales per calendar year. Former B will be deleted in its entirety. Former C will be deleted in its entirety, because that's the only permits and exemptions. And then section C will become related to signs, and then the section related to signs. The only additional change is under number 2 and number 3 on page 2, where it says and a permit or without a permit. We just need to strike those two things. And then there'll still be a penalty if someone is violating this ordinance related.
We have to hit that number here on 1.
Yeah.
And I think on C, we take permit off also. All signs for
Each yard sale.
Yeah, there you go.
Shall comply with the following, and it says, cover the name, address, telephone number.
Give it
Yeah.
Yep.
So, we're just making those changes, basically, we're just excluding any reference to the permits, but we'll keep the ordinance. So, with those revisions, that is the presented ordinance.
Anything to add to that, AC? You had mentioned that it hadn't been an issue, it's just been conferred for you guys just to fill out permits for people who are allowed to do it.
It's a burden on residents too to have to get one.
Okay. Need another motion to approve this resolution.
Make a motion to approve the yard sale resolution.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second
Okay, any further discussion? Around the room? Isaac?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, then games of chance ordinance.
So, I wrote a memo to AC and I put a copy of your all's chairs. It's really two things. Gaming machines and what has become known as bait shops. So you can look both at the memo. Technically, with the gaming machines, there was a law that was passed about outlawing these games of chance, but there's a lawsuit that's currently pending, so injunction saying that you can't enforce it. I think the smarter thing to do if we're gonna have any action around gaming machines or vape shops would make both conditional uses so that they could be permitted with limitations, but it wouldn't be a by right use. Currently, both would be by right uses because they could both occur within just general business, because we don't have another definition within our zoning regulations. So my recommendation would be, if you want to take any action, we do it through the zoning. We have the zoning amendment, so that both would be conditional uses. So anybody that wants to operate that kind of business would have to go through planning commission and city council to get approval for those uses. And we could do both, similar to the way that we've done some other businesses, like other shops, other types of things that are less desirable, where you say it has to be so far from a school or a church or things like that. The other thing on vape shops, particularly speaking from experience, is usually one of the biggest issues is like the signage and things like that, and we already have sign ordinances and things like that, so we can control that. But that would be my recommendation, would be to control those with conditional uses in the zoning. If we do want to go that route, I need to know that council wants to do that, because we need to prepare a resolution and an ordinance. It needs to be published, it needs to be read 2 times before it would be adopted.
And that does not affect like private places like the Moose that has gaming machines in it. It's only for the public.
Yeah, these would just be for, yeah. I mean, depending on how we write the ordinance, but yes.
So, but it's pretty much saying, general store would say we could still have a slot machine in a gas station, or we could still sell vape products in a gas station, but we can't have a small casino or a vape shop itself.
So like for the machines, we probably limit the number of machines that you can have in a location, so we limit it to 3 or 4, whatever the council's comfortable with. And if you want more than that, you would need to get a conditional use, right, like a special use permit. Conditional use permit is what we call it in this town. And then the same thing with vape shops. If it's a convenience store and you just happen to be selling that, that's one thing. But if the primary purpose is selling vaping and tobacco products, right, then you need some type of use. So you all want me to prepare that ordinance so that it can be presented in a future?
We'll just go around real quick. Fair?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, and I know that I just gave you the memo tonight, so review the memo. If you have any questions or whatever, reach out to AC and we can set up a time to talk about it. I think that these, kind of having a sense of where you all want to go helps me, so that we can prepare it without spending all the time and energy preparing it, and then you'll say, no, we don't want that.
And the zoning is the easier way to.
The zoning is the easier way to do it, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Where we at now, AC?
Last thing on business in this industry, probably, everybody's aware Pop Shelf is now open, and a lot of traffic in and out of there, so it's nice to see that my office window faces that way. So I've been staring at a vacant building and an empty parking lot for months and months now, so it's nice to see a lot of activity over there. And it's a very nice store, very clean store, very friendly staff.
Very well received, it seems. Okay. Then we'll move down to Parks and Rec. Trying to think what we have on Parks and Rec right now. I was talking to Chris today. You know, we put in that meter box, or not meter, is that right?
Panel box.
Panel box, excuse me. And that's for an additional 400 amp service. I guess we need to think about what do we got to do to get that installed, so we're not blindsided with the bathroom shows. So, you know, I'll talk about that. And the other thing we talked about, as I mentioned earlier today, you know, we laid aside 25,000 of the funds to go towards the police department, and we came in significantly under, so we got 25,000 sitting in the that was designated that won't be used. The question came up: Did everyone see the stage that Newmarket had made, the trailer and so forth?
At the Winter Festival.
Instead of them having a fixed stage, they have a movable stage which they can move from park to park to park to park. And I was just wondering, would the council entertain using that funds that we designated to the PD
for the purpose of making one of those for us. So we could put it, you know, we were gonna have a fixed one, but now we're thinking, after we saw that, you could have a concert over here and have something down at this, down at
The one thing with the stage that we borrowed from Newmarket, on the front of that, there's actually a screen that comes down, and that's what they use to show their movies on. So we could have concerts over at the American Legion Park, or pull it down into the Plains District Memorial Park where it's darker, or you could do it either place, but you could pull it down there and you could have movie night down in the park. And it's all built in together, it's all wired up, everything feeds off of it. The musicians that we had open for the Winter Festival, they were all plugged into that trailer, is how they fed their equipment. So it's a nice little setup that they have.
Right.
Well, it makes sense to do something like that and be able to use it wherever we need to, rather than have a fixed something here and then have to build another fixed something somewhere else.
It was a really neat idea that came up with.
That's so nice.
And what we were talking about, there were two things they were talking about over there at the park needs. It needs that. This one is really, really small. We need to install a PA system in the corners of the building so you actually hear what's going on, but they're thinking that's only $1,000 or something. So I think with the $25,000, we could get the stage built and get the PA system put in, and we'll just use the money, if the council's okay with it, that was allocated for the PD. If y'all are okay with it. I guess we need a motion to do that though, right?
To reallocate those
To
funds.
reallocate the funds, if I can get a motion.
Make a motion that we do.
Fine, thank you. Do I have a second? Okay. Numbers?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Chris said as soon as he hears that we're good with it, he'll go take a picture of new markets. It was a great idea. We ought to do things all over the place.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think that's it for Parks and Rec. You already talked about the boat launches being put in. While we're just talking about it, like AC mentioned in his memo, I'm gonna have to sit down and decide, who's on what committees and things like that. When we get into the new year, and Deb, you pointed this out, we need to make a effort for, if you're a chair of a committee, that you had meetings. So we can, instead of us having to decide everything here, your committee come back with the park and make a suggestion of whatever, or with the PD, or with Public Works. And I know Chris would enjoy the opportunity of meeting with Public Works instead of as a council, but as a committee, quarterly or twice a year, so you can hear what's going on with him, and he can brainstorm with you guys. So once we figure out who's on what, because we only have 2 people who've been here more than a year. So we got a lot of new people, which is great. So we'll be arranging them and figure out who's who. What else? AC, finance.
We've got another ordinance. So this is a holdover from a long time ago. So, section 1-1.1, the deposit of town funds. The current ordinance says that all money belonging to the town should be deposited by the town treasurer in the name of the town of Timberville and a qualified public depository within the town limits. So there's nothing saying that we have to deposit in a bank within the town limits, and we may have very good reason to deposit some money in another bank outside the town limits when we're looking at interest rates and money market accounts and things like that. So all we're doing is removing the section that says within the town limits. Everything else is it has to be deposited pursuant to Virginia code and everything else.
Any questions on that one?
I do have a question. Isn't there a budget line item about something with the banks and the amount of money that the bank gets?
Banks within town, they pay bank
Stop
stock
tax.
tax, yes.
And last year it went down, so we had less.
Less deposits, based on the number of deposits, if I'm correct.
Mhm.
So if we are not depositing in a local town bank, does that then affect that?
It would affect it in some way, yes.
You'd have to look at whatever their total deposits would be, and within the town, so I don't know what kind of effect it would have on it.
Because I think it was explained when we had the budget meetings that less people were depositing their money into our local bank, so that's why we were receiving
Right.
this money.
I think as the banks open up new branches and distribute that money to different branches, that the deposits can drop or change or fluctuate, that kind of thing. I think that's what's happening.
And what we could do is we could look at what our portion of those deposits would be, and compare it to what is the interest rate at institution X outside of town. And it, you know, even if the bank stock tax would decrease in town for the deposits in town, the interest rate that could possibly secure at an institution outside of town may make up for that plus some. So it would be something we would have to look at and see. But what it does, it gives us the flexibility to do that.
And right now, there's no much for that.
And since the money market, what got it going was we were receiving roughly 2% interest on, close to $2 million.
It was $2 million, yeah.
Close to $2 million, and, if you've seen, you start receiving things from different banks of just CDs, where they're offering 4.4%, well, that changes that brings an extra $40,000 into, that's a lot of money, and we need to just at least have that in mind. You know, should we be passing off on $40,000 that we could have, or should we just be making 20 grand and be happy with that? You know? So that's what got it now. Since we've had discussion, money market is about 3.5 now, so it's catching up to what people are offering for CDs now, which it should. So I do not see us moving our money, but we were just wondering, should we have that in there and hamstring ourselves in case it ever comes up again?
And I would say the other thing is, this meant that, the statute said, or the ordinance said, all money belonging to the town. So you couldn't even open up, you know, even if you wanted to put some money in a CD somewhere else, not that you would move your entire relationship somewhere else, but just some of the money to take advantage of a higher yield somewhere else.
We would still be depositing all of our deposits to Commerce Merchants Bank, but we were looking at some CD options with our savings account. So we would still be contributing to the bank stock tax, just not as much.
Any other questions? Do we want to do anything with this? Have a motion? Adopt the ordinance as presented. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Yes.
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 Okay. There's a lot going on today, isn't it? There is. Positive funds, you were busy this month.
Followed up at the beginning of the year.
Okay, now the tuition assistance program. And we went over it last council meeting fairly in depth. And there were some changes that had to be made. If I remember right, AC, it was the grade B to be changed to a C. Instead of credits, we were changing it to 5,000 per year.
Correct.
And what was the other one?
We got rid of the applications accepted as the first come, first served. We took that out.
Okay. So we made those changes as recommended by the council last time, and they're all in this newly written or amended.
Amended and then just formatted in a way that was easy to read it than last time.
So we need a motion this time to approve it as formality.
And so this is not an ordinance, this is just the council approving this change to the employee handbook.
Clarence was heavily involved with the modifications. Have you seen something there? Okay. I mean, are you good with the changes that we talked about? Because I know you were the one who really spent a lot of time looking through it, making sure it was what we would like to see. Okay. Does that need a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? They're getting ahead of me already.
Yes, also.
Yes. Isaac's getting in there. He's jumping right off right now. Okay, then we're through I think we're through everything you take care of, right? Yep. Okay, we're down to Plains District 1 Museum. Sharon?
The exhibit fee put up this month is Welcome to Historic Broadway, and the Boy Scout exhibit also is being put up. On January 22nd, Pat Turner Ritchie is speaking on Black history of Fox Run, and February 26th is the appraisal fair.
February 26th. That is Saturday.
Sunday afternoon, 1 to 4. And we have 5 appraisers.
Really? Okay. What else? Bev, you gonna do something tonight?
I've got a few if you want to hear them.
I want to hear them.
Next month, you have a lot going on.
We're not gonna have you sit through all that and not be able to talk to us.
I was kind of interested in what's going on tonight, all kind of stuff you're getting done.
There was all kinds of stuff.
You've heard some of these before, I'm sure. On Wednesday, March 9th, 1921, the moving picture Her First Elopement was playing on this night at the theater in Timberville. It was stated that the movie was good. Monday, March 25th, 1912, Thomas Helbert began drilling a well for the creamery in Timberville with his gasoline-powered well drilling machine. Friday, March 17th, 1925, the play Along the Missouri was given at the school auditorium from 8 to 10 o'clock. A good-sized audience was present, considering the weather. The Timberville Feed and Implement Company opened around November 15th, 1934. Frank Hagerman, Stanley Hoover, and Lloyd Garber were the owners. Monday, June 26, 1950, D.S. Walter Store and House were sold. I think Russell Caulfield, I think he bought the house, if I remember right. February 9th, 1942, the Rockingham Building Company opened. November 8th, 1907, the Literary Society met. The debate was, there should be an educational qualification for voting. The judges decided in favor of the negative side, so it shouldn't be, I guess is what they decided. We've heard this before. July 1929, it was reported that a workman who was helping build the new railroad bridge down at the park across the Shenandoah River at Timberville died a day after falling from the bridge.
Mercy.
I think
Where was the theater you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Where was the theater?
well, the Columbia Theater, the theater we've been talking about all these years.
But where was it located?
All down beside of Mason Motors.
If you're facing Masons, it would have been on the left-hand side.
It was just where that car.
I'll pull a picture.
Building is?
No, it was even further to the left than that. I'll show you a picture.
Yeah, it's a little open spot there, and the theater was long and narrow. And back then, the sidewalk ran right in front of the theater. It said, the old people used to tell me, we've got pictures, you could step off the sidewalk and you'd be almost right in the theater. It was that far out.
Everything was long. The bowling alley was long and narrow. The theaters. They could put stuff in every little nook and cranny back there. Well,
We
thank
have a
you.
good old town here.
Hey, Beth, what was the date that the first fell off the bridge?
Oh, 1929, when it was built, and I remember, I think we talked before about, if you break the law of the river, and look down underneath the bridge, there's a great big plaque under there, and Roanoke Bridge and Ironworks is the one that built the bridge, but that was 1929 when it was placed over. Now, the old covered bridge, that burned in 1901. So this was the one down there now. Built in 1929. You know, sometimes sneak up there and look at that plaque, it's just a date and everything.
Okay, other business. Anything else, Councilman?
I didn't have one thing, I'm sorry. Talk a lot this evening, but I had some residents approach me about the intersection and the light
traffic light where the 7-Eleven is, where 211 comes into town, and I think it's what, 4th Avenue, across the street, 4th Street and 4th Avenue. He said the way the lights are, when the lights both turn green, that the people turning from 211 do not yield to people coming straight across. And was hoping that there could maybe be a turn arrow, or maybe staggering the green lights so that it is safer.
I'll check with VDOT again. We've asked them in the past about that because it is just a bad intersection because the roadways are misaligned.
Straight across.
Yeah. And 4th Avenue comes up across the hill so people don't look down. But I'll check with VDOT again. They told us before that they couldn't do anything. I think that light may still be on the wires and it's not on poles like this one out here is. So it's an old style light, and there was something about that they were limited on the programming they could do to it. But I'll check with them and see if I would love to see a roundabout there. But we figured with all the tractor trailers that come through, it's not possible to take up the area. But
The truck will go around, the trailer just go over.
Cross, right, yeah. But yeah, I'll check with VDOT and see if there's anything new.
Any other business? Okay. Public comment. We have a couple of people here. Anybody like to make a comment? Come on up.
I'm Paula Bowman. I don't know how to ask that this be put in the minutes, but I think we should acknowledge that we just said goodbye to a longtime Timberville resident who was very faithful in her work with the town and was the first female on the council, Linda Shoemaker Roadcap.
Unfortunately, that's not correct.
That's not correct, even though it was publicized?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I renege on that. Mark that out.
So I checked with Dad on that because Crystal actually contacted me and was asking about that. And Ava Gordon was actually the first one, and she was in the 50s, you said?
Yeah.
Mid to late
Yeah,
50s?
that would be-
In 1957, she was on then for sure, so.
When did Linda come on?
Crystal said in the 70s.
I'd forgotten about Ida.
Yeah. So.
Okay, forget that. Strike it.
It's a good thought, though.
Anybody else?
What was supposed to discuss Aristotle application in the council?
Thank you. Good catch. This is for, planning commission appointee, I guess? So yeah, good catch.
We had it advertised. Cecilia put it on social media when we had the vacancy for the planning commission that was created by Sarah, being elected to council. So put it out there for anybody interested to submit a letter of interest to the town council to be considered for that vacancy, to fill that vacancy. And we only received the one letter, which I sent out to everybody. So typically the way we do that is if council's interested, planning commission can interview the individual, and then council can too. We've always found it probably more advantageous to listen to planning commission because they're the ones who have to work with whoever would get appointed, and then planning commission can make a recommendation to council. But we've also done it multiple ways in the past as far as interviews go. Does council want planning commission to consider this individual? I guess is the best way to do it at this point.
Do you need a motion from us to do that, or?
I don't know if you need a motion, but I'd say just direction.
Yeah.
Draw a poll.
Yeah, I'd say anyone who's interested in serving on the council deserves to be interviewed and spoken to. So,
Yeah.
you good with it, Isaac? All right, here.
We'll have her come in next week then if she's available, and we got to be a full planning commission meeting next week too. So we've got a lot going on there, and then all of that stuff will come back to the council. So.
Good. Everyone else good? And thank you, everybody.